Alright, in this video I will be installing a slab door. A slab door is one that doesn't come with the frame, the hinges, or anything cut into it. It's just straight up door. They are, I don't know, about $50 cheaper than the whole framed up version, and you don't have to remove the frame. This is the old door, and I labeled top and bottom on each before I start chiseling in the hinges so that they're in the right place, so that I'm sure I get it right. I got some Sherwin-Williams emerald paint, which I'll do at the end. These are the old hinges, real dirty and nasty, and these are the new hinges I got. So for all the hardware and accessories for the house, for doors, stuff like that, I'm going with black. And then for the door handle, I got a Weiser, and it's a Halifax. So moving into my basement, you can see I got the two doors sandwiched together with some clamps. I'm going to replicate where the hinges are on the old door and transcribe it onto the new door. So take a straight edge and make sure that I get them at the right height, top and bottom, and then also get the right depth. So there's a little less than ½ an inch of door remaining, and you got to get it in the right orientation as well. So you want to get the part you're cutting out to look identical on the new door as it does on the old door. Now, because this door is much heavier than the old door, I've actually added a third hinge, which I'm going to put right in between the two existing hinges. And I'll have to chisel out the door frame as well once I bring it upstairs to get that third hinge in the right spot. Now, chiseling out the hinges is a bit of a time-consuming process, and this is where you might want to actually get the full door with the frame. But if you got to do a lot of doors, obviously this does save money in the long run. Generally what I do is sort of scribe out the external area of the hinge and then make a whole bunch of small lines down the center of the hinge and then sort of scrape those out and use the hammer. I don't actually have a very good chisel. These are all utility grade chisels that I got. One day maybe I'll get a nicer one for doing this kind of work. So a bit of a trial and error just to get it nice and flush and flat. Obviously you're going to want to check it with your hinge a few times before actually mounting it up. And with anything, once I'm happy that I've chiseled it down enough, pilot holes and screw it into place. And I do the same thing for the remaining hinges as well. So to mount the door up, I'm going to use some shims because I'm only one person. It's very difficult to mount a door by yourself. But with the shims, I'll be able to prop the door up about ½ an inch, which is about where I want it, and then I'll be able to screw it in as a one-man show here. So get the door in place. I don't need to do any pilot holes because those were already there from the old door. And I will screw the hinges in and do that top and bottom because I only have the two hinges at this point in time. And obviously I got everything in fast motion, otherwise this would be a 50-minute video. So a little bit of a problem with the door, it is a little tight in the top right corner. However, I will be able to fix that without really doing too much to the door. So see, it has to go in about 1/8 of an inch, maybe a slightly bit more, but really just at that one top corner. And there is a reason for it. And the reason is you can see they stacked all the shims in the same orientation, so it's all fat side of the shim to the inside of the bathroom and skinny side to the exterior of the bathroom. So it kind of gives it a pie shape effect instead of going straight. And I'll do a little visualization. So the gap is narrower on the hallway side of the door than it is on the bathroom side of the door, and I will correct that in a moment. To get the third hinge in, it's very simple to get the position. Obviously it's already in place. I just need to get a pencil in this thing and then chisel it out. So it's going to look like that. Obviously I made one little nick in there, but that's just pretty much a paint nick, and I cover that up. So obviously for this one I'll do some pilot holes again and screw it into place. So to fix the door frame issue, I'm just going to get a few shims and push the top up a little bit. And really I'm just moving it about 1/8 of an inch, so you can't really see it. So even though I know I did it, I can't even tell that I did that. So I do raise that one top corner up a bit, and then I take the multi-tool and just sort of carve out the top two shims that they did so that they're not as fat on the inside of the bathroom. And then I'm going to slam some screws right through there as well. And that'll just suck that door frame in. Again, 1/8 of an inch, maybe a little bit more. So you see it's coming along right there, and that's just with that one screw. And then once I hit it in the top corner, that pulls it in as well. Difficult to see it getting pulled in on the video, but I assure you it does. And then I do clean it up a little bit with some sanding, so you can see the doors closed there, no real problems, and I can fit a putty knife in between there, no problem. Not a ton of clearance on this door, but the old door didn't have much clearance either. So my secret weapon for filling in holes in the doors is this plastic wood by Lepage, or Lepage, however you want to say it. I'm just using this to fill in those screw holes. I find it does a good job, dries super fast, sands well, and is very easily painted. So it's perfect for filling in all your mistakes with the doors. And really I'm just doing the screw holes. And obviously you don't want to put on too much or you're going to be sanding for a very long time. So there's the plastic wood all in place over the screw holes. I'll wait for it to dry and then I'll sand it down. I didn't film myself sanding it, but I did use an electric sander and I did use some hand sanding. And there you go, the door closes just fine. So I put the door catch in place so I can figure out exactly where I'm going to drill the holes for the door handle. And obviously I want to get it right dead center in the door catch. So now I'm just going to figure out my back set. You can see it's 4.5 inches for where that doorknob's going to go. So that's going to be a back set of 2 3/8. If it was larger than 4.5 inches, then I would go for the larger back sets. So basically you just want that doorknob centered. Okay, to drill out the door, I've got 2 hole saws. One is a 1-inch, which is this white one. And then I believe the yellow one actually came with the cutting template or this cutting guide. And that one is a 2 1/8 inch hole saw. And that one's the yellow one. So I'll make sure the cutting guide is centered on the door, and I'll just take the 2 screws that come with the doorknob set and screw it into place. And then I'll take the first hole saw and just drill it straight through the door. Normally I do drill from both sides, start it on one and then come across on the other so it doesn't split. This time it came through a little bit faster than I thought it would, and I just went through one side, but there's no real damage on the other side, so it's not a big deal. This 1-inch hole saw is a little bit older, so it's a little more painful to drill through, but it goes through just fine. And there we go. Now I got my 2 holes drilled. I'll remove the cutting guide, save those 2 screws because they're the ones for the doorknob set, and I'm good to install the doorknob. Now you don't have to use the rectangular door latch if you don't want to. There is a circular option that just kind of pushes into place and actually doesn't involve any more chiseling or cutting anything out. However, I do like the look of these rectangular ones more, and I find with the screws that they don't back out. I don't like when those round ones sort of pull out of the hole. It's not what I prefer. So anyway, for this same deal, use the chisel around the edges so that it doesn't, chip out the door, and then slowly chisel the center portion out. And again, some little paint chips, but when I paint the door, everything looks just fine. So I'll mount everything up so that I could test the door, make sure everything's working before I go and paint this thing up. I do like these Wiser door handle sets. I find they go together well, they're sturdy, they work, they look good, and they definitely don't feel cheap. And since this is a bathroom, I will test out the locking feature on this thing to make sure everything's working properly. So the locking function works fine, and then obviously this little Allen key looking thing unlocks it. So pretty much the only thing I use newspapers for is for painting these days. I did get a small 1.5 inch Purdy semi-rigid brush, so it's a little bit softer than other brushes, and that's really just to paint this sort of section of the door frame. Usually I just buy 2.5 or 3 inch brushes because all I really paint is walls, but now that I'm getting into the door business, I decided I would need a smaller one. I'm going to leave the hinges on but remove the door handle. And I really like this Sherwin-Williams paint. Normally I get Benjamin Moore, but they were sold out, so I got this emerald paint with polyurethane in it, and it works great. Color is called White Dove, which is a Benjamin Moore color. So I didn't film myself painting the door. I got other videos where I paint stuff, so I skipped over that, but here's the end result with the doorknob back on, and that is 2 coats of this Sherwin-Williams emerald paint. So I think it looks pretty good. I may do a 3rd coat, but probably not. I'll see how the rest of the house goes. I'm not going to rush into that. I think I've achieved the 95% solution with this door. I think it looks pretty good. It works well, and obviously once I get the sink in, I'll come around and finish up the trim. Overall, doing slab doors does save a little bit of money. It definitely takes a little bit more time though, although it's not technically challenging. Anyway, thanks for checking out my video. Don't forget to like and subscribe.